I've done a lot of comparison videos between space strategy games, but I thought I would compare Stellaris to Civ 6. They're two totally different settings, but still there's a lot of similarities. So, and I like both games, so I thought it'd be fun to take a look. And just so I don't disappoint anybody, this is intended to be a high-level overview that dips down to the details every now and then. So if that's what you're expecting, I'm sorry, but you'll be disappointed. Civ 6 is a turn-based strategy game set on a planet where you start out with a settler, typically start out with a settler and a warrior, and you build an empire up from there, and you can end up going head-to-head against some of the greatest leaders of all time. So I'm going to start out with the game setup. I typically play single-player games and don't mess with multiplayer. That's what I'm going to focus on. So when you create a game, you can choose the rule set if you've got some expansion packs. You can choose the game setting difficulty. I like to keep it easy. I might even drop this one down a little bit. Game speed, map type, continents and islands. You can choose game modes. There's 8 here. And if that's not enough, you can go into advanced setup. You can choose the leaders you want to play against if you want to. You get a nice little readout of what's what when you highlight them. Pick the number of city-states you want, disaster intensity, map size, anywhere from small to huge, huge. World age. So there are victory conditions. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No duplicate civilizations, no duplicate leaders. So there are a lot of options to choose from here. When you're done with what you like, you just click Start Game. Stellaris, on the other hand, is based in space, and the principle is the same. You expand your empire from one single planet to control the galaxy. Stellaris has lots of game options too. It's got a bunch of empires you can choose from. When you click on one, you get a display of what it's all about, their origin and their world and some basic traits. When you're happy with your empire, you click select. You go to the game setup, game details screen. So you can choose the difficulty level, galaxy size, anywhere from tiny to huge, the shape. Of course, if you go to a bigger size, you got more shapes to choose from. Number of AI empires, advanced AI starts. These are guys that are ahead of you, fallen empires. And just like in Civ 6, if that's not enough, you go into the advanced settings. And here you can set things like the crisis type, scaling difficulty in the late game, AI aggressiveness, tradition cost, habitable world. So there's lots of options to choose from here. When you're happy with what you've got, you just click play and the game starts. One thing that's important to me in these games is how easy they are to learn. I don't like taking tutorials that you have to sit there and read screen after screen after screen of dialogue. So in Civ 6, that's not the case. Here, if you click on the tutorial, you get a nice little intro. And then you can play as one of 2 empires.
From the first stirrings of life,
Get a nice little intro.
To the great beasts of the Stone Age, to man taking his first upright steps.
Begin the game.
Welcome, Gilgamesh. Our people's fate lies in your hands. Great is the responsibility placed upon you.
So anyway, you get a nice advisor to help you through the game. It's just like starting a regular game, except a little more help. So and I find it very useful.
Too long we have roamed this world without a land to
It tells you what to do. I mean, it walks you through step by step, getting the game started. So it's really got a great tutorial, and it makes it a lot easier to learn the game. Stellaris, on the other hand, does not have a separate tutorial, but in this case, it doesn't hurt it too much. It's got a tutorial you can bring up in the settings under gameplay. You can set it from none to tips to full.
Tutorial missions and tips are enabled.
And you get Veer to help you out.
Building a star empire can be a daunting task. To help get things started, I will be providing instructions.
He walks you through everything also. It makes the game a lot easier to use because these are both complex games, but with the tutorial assistance you get, the in-game help, they're both relatively easy to learn. There's a steep learning curve, but it's a lot easier with this stuff, and it's well worth a while. The user interface is well laid out in Civ 6. Up at the very top, you've got the menu options where you can quit the game, restart it, retire, whatever. Tells you what turn you're on. List of reports, error progress, bunch of reports up here. These are who you've got relationships with. If you click on them, you go into the diplomacy screen. Very good. And here you've got also more menu options, like a history timeline, tech tree, civics tree, government, religion, great people, world climate, governments. We've also got expanded version of the engineering and civics trees here, so you can see what's going on. Down here's a mini map with various lenses. You can turn on the settler lens and it shows you what areas are good to be settled. Over in the right hand corner is your end the turn button, and this also changes into whatever action you need to do, like to show a research icon if you need to do research. Over here are alerts. Like my friendship expired with this guy, I gotta do something about that. If I select a city, I get some menu options that show up. Here I can change the city production, purchase something with faith or with gold, or I can take a look at the city details. So a very good user interface. These are both top-notch games, and the user interface in Stellaris is well laid out also. You have an outliner at the right side, which gives you a government breakdown, ship breakdown, planet breakdown. You can sort of go ship specifically if you want to, or politics specifically if you want to. Up here you've got an icon that for the galactic community, if it's in session or not once it's been established. Upper right hand corner you can pause the game or unpause it, and you set the game speed. Along the top you've got resources and alerts. Here's the resources. Here are the alerts. These are real handy when something comes up that you need to take care of. There's also an outliner on the left side of the screen where you can go to the situation log, or you can go to technology and see what you're researching. Depending on what you selected is what shows up in the lower left hand corner here, like a mining station. You can take various actions there depending on what you've got selected. Like a starbase, I can look at the modules and look at the defenses and add some, build armies, build ships. If I'm at war, this tells me the status of the war. Clicking here, this will take you out, giving out an overall view of the galaxy and what's going on. Pretty good user interface. In both games you have basic resources and exotic resources, so to speak, that are available. So in Civ 6, you've got science per turn, you've got culture per turn, faith per turn, of course gold per turn, tourism, diplomatic favor, trade routes, not envoys, and horses. And as the game progresses, more and more of these quote-unquote exotic resources become available, like iron and niter. In Stellaris, just like in Civ 6, your resources are laid out along the upper left edge of the screen. You've got energy credits, you've got minerals, food, consumer goods, alloys for building ships, influence, unity, research income, rare resources. It's like exotic resources. You get more as the game goes on. That's pretty much a breakdown of the resources in Stellaris. Research is a little bit different between the two games. In Civ 6, you've got these two panels that tell you what you're researching, where you're at. Like this one's telling me I'll be done with this in 4 turns, and defensive tactics, I'll be done with it in 2 turns. I can also get to a research tree. And by the way, I consider civics really a form of research. So if I want to, I can go to a tech tree and see what's coming up, what I'm working on, what's been researched. I can sort by completed, etc., etc. I can also do the same thing with civics tree. What's been researched, what what I'm currently working on, what's coming up. So I can pretty well plan out what I want to research well in advance if I so desire. Research in Stellaris is a little bit different than it is in most other games, in my opinion anyway. You can research 3 different branches: physics, society, and engineering. You can change it if you want to. You can also see what's been researched in each branch. But unlike most games, there is no technology tree to look at. Well, that can be good or that can be bad, depending on what you like. Combat in Civ 6 is pretty simple. Select your unit, or right-click on the unit you want to attack, or hover over it first and tell you what you're going to do, major victory or major defeat or whatever. Right-click on it. If you're not at war with that civilization, you will be if you declare war. I'm going to for the sake of this demo. So then, when you're at war, it highlights the hex in red that are within range of your attack. If I right-click again on this unit, combat occurs. So in order to attack this unit, I have to have units in adjacent squares. There's no stacking, so that limits your combat somewhat. In Stellaris, combat is initiated by moving your fleet into a system containing an enemy fleet or fleets.
Spaceport lost to enemy action.
And once there, they'll engage in combat. And you'll get a pop-up that tells you what's going on. Here's my fleet. Here's the enemy fleet. I want to zoom in for a close-up look. I can do that. Two pretty powerful fleets here. With combat in Stellaris, you can have massive fleet battles. Zoom in and see the details. That's pretty cool until one side's vanquished. It looks like my side was vanquished. They retreated. That's combat in Stellaris. So to sum this all up, both games are pretty deep. A lot of replayability with the empires you have and the custom game setups. And even if you play the same empire over again, the gameplay is still different. I think the main difference between these two games for me is twofold. One, I kind of prefer space settings to planet settings, but that's not a showstopper. That's kind of minor because I think back to the Command and Conquer series and I like those a lot, and I played those quite a bit. I think the main thing for me is that Civ 6 is the combat and the expansion. The combat doesn't seem to be as robust or as interesting to me. It takes a while to get it going, and you can't stack units like you can in Stellaris. And expansion, this is probably due to my inexperience as a Civ 6 player, but I have trouble expanding my empire and keeping the economy going and getting the military up to speed and taking areas of taking territory. So anyway, that's my take on all this. I hope you enjoyed the video, and this is Rich from Loner Strategy Games. I'll see you later. Bye.